Here we go. Welcome, Jack Franzen from JP Franzen Associates to Go Taskers Tools for Construction Today. How you doing today, Jack?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Great, great. Thanks. We've had a lot of great panelists on today. We'll get right to it. One of the first questions we've been asking everybody is, how has this pandemic affected your sector and your business?
So for starters, when it became apparent there was going to be imminent closure of businesses back, I think it was at the end of the first week of March or the beginning of the second week, it was really a total shock. I had never really seen anything like this, despite being through, the oil crises in the 70s, the spike in inflation, with high interest rates, the 87 crash, the 90s real estate crash, 9/11, 2008, 2000. I never saw anything like this. Having some perspective, though, it seems like there's a catastrophe every 10 years. So you kind of expect something. This was a big surprise.
Well, I'll skip around here in my questionings then. Based on that, how do you see us in Connecticut, as an architect and as builders, where do you see Connecticut at the end of 2020?
So I think at the end of the year, balance sheets are going to be smaller and payrolls may be a little leaner. And I think businesses that didn't have enough cash or weren't able to secure the loans may be in trouble and may be weeded out.
Gotcha. Are you, Jack, seeing changes directly associated to COVID in the design side, from a density side, from just how people are approaching new construction or things they want in their home that was not normal before?
Yeah, I mean, every inquiry that we've had so far has either been for some kind of outdoor recreational component like an outdoor kitchen or a swimming pool, or for an indoor, home office. In some cases, both members of a family, members of a couple want to have a home office. So that's suddenly, come to the fore.
Gotcha. Great. So, Jack, obviously you shared with everybody how many ups and downs you've gone through in your lifetime. Any good advice you can give to these younger companies out there that are, trying to get through this and don't really have any clear answers?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to do. It's easier said than done, but it's so important to keep a good balance sheet, to have, like, for me, that always meant having enough cash to run the business for 3 or 4 months with absolutely no money coming in. And it's a real hard discipline to do that. Also, it's not a bad thing to have a line of credit. And, personally at home, it's good to have a rainy day fund. So those three things, can take the pressure off. Because, for instance, when I stopped taking a paycheck, I had to use the funds that I have, my line of credit and my, rainy day savings, my personal savings, to, I had to pay my mortgage. I had to pay, a whole bunch of things. So
Yeah,
those three things are key. Kind of boring, but real important.
So as we close up then, do you see any design trends that you think are going to take hold because of this?
I see a lot of things. I don't do a lot of commercial work, but I see a lot of chatter going on about how office spaces will be designed with different formats and people will be spaced out more. I actually heard one person on TV from WeWork saying that they expected an increased demand for office space. I'm skeptical about that. For the residential stuff that we do, I think outdoor activities are, like I said before, becoming more important. And inside, having an attractive, comfortable, and acoustically sequestered workspace. It's real hard to be on a Zoom when your dog is barking or your kids are screaming.
Yeah, I bet. And you and I had spoken briefly a couple of weeks ago, and you had mentioned something about density as a whole. You want to share with our attendees your thoughts behind that? How you think the
Yeah, I
density
think
is going to switch a little bit between the big cities and suburbia?
yeah, it's really interesting. In the 1930s, I believe it was the Rockefeller family hired Frank Lloyd Wright to come up with a completely different concept for basically you could say land use, but just the distribution of activities and people. And it was called Broadacre City. It was an interesting concept because in his plan, there would be more decentralized manufacturing. People would live near their job, but instead of commuting on a rail basis, they would be walking or taking a bike. And everybody would have access to a plot of land to grow their own food. So if you look at the big problems now with, okay, people don't want to get on a train because there are hundreds of people on the train coughing or sneezing, and people don't want to go to the grocery store, and people don't want to, who work in the farms may be uncomfortable working in big groups. So, having the ability to grow your own food to some degree, and having the ability to spend more time with your family, and having the ability to walk or bicycle to your job, I'm not sure how practical it is here in New England, but I'm sure there are parts of the country that will be turning the page back and looking at Frank Lloyd Wright's plans and maybe some other plans.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you for that. Thank you, Jack.